Joel Jimenez.
Yup.
You're on Checkitow.
Yeah.
What up, dog?
What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. So you're a quintessential LA guy. You're an LA comedian, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got the look, like I was telling Miguel, our sound guy, I'm like, this is your kind of guy, because he's an LA guy. The guy that had the Lakers
I could
stuff.
tell already, dude. I could smell it on him.
Lakers and Dodgers, yeah. For sure. Yeah. So I know you obviously as a comedian. I've seen you on Kill Tony. I've seen you on some of the podcasts you do. We'll get to that. But I kind of want to start out with you as the rocker, man. You're the drummer for Mad Peaceful Band. Fronted by Chappelle Lacey.
Yeah.
And so you have the tattoos of a drummer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Now I spotted a scorpion, so I figured you were Scorpio.
No. None of my tattoos mean anything.
Well, what about the elbow with prison tattoo there?
Nah, this is nautical themed. It's more like sailor, you know.
Oh, I see it. So you perform a lot in Jam in the Van, which is a very cool spot here in LA that has a lot of comedy and music.
Yeah.
How did Mad Peaceful Band come together? Is it a bunch of comics that decided they want to be a rock band? Or is everyone in the band a comic?
I mean, so me and Chappelle, we're like best friends. People kept telling me, you got to meet this guy Chappelle. I'd see photos of him with like a black flag windbreaker on. And then I guess people were telling him the same thing about me. We ended up in a green room at the Brea Improv. And we just hit it off, and we've been friends ever since.
So you've been in bands
my
and
whole
part of the
life.
music.
Since I started playing drums at 14. I've been in bands my whole life. Kind of stopped when I started doing stand-up because I was like, this is great. You can just show up by yourself, get the mic, do the thing, go home. But during the pandemic, he's like, let's get together. We should do some covers. A couple of our other friends who are also comics, we got together. We did a bunch of like Black Flag, Bad Brains, Bad Religion, just a bunch of covers kind of in a warehouse like this. And it never came out, but we were like, let's see what we could do. So we just started like sending each other ideas. And
how do you write? Okay, but the songs that I heard you guys perform in Jam in the Van, are those original?
Yes, yeah.
How do you write a punk song like that? Like, does somebody start with a riff and then you just start throwing a beat and then Chappelle kind of decides how to sing over it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It can go any way. Like, I'll come up with a drum part. They'll do something to that. A lot of it is our guitar players, like Chase. His name's Chase, and then Chris. They're just really good, man. Now with technology, they'll have fully demoed out stuff, send it over, and you can kind of like, and then I'll replace the drums, you know, on my own. And
are you guys playing a lot? I mean, obviously you played at Jam in the Van, but are you guys playing shows a lot?
Yeah, we're playing shows a lot. Yeah, whenever like comedy tour schedules allow it. Our guitar player lives in Portland, so you know, when the gig's worth him flying out, we'll take it. But I'll play anywhere.
There's nothing like a cholo punk. You know what I'm saying? Like a Chicano punk, because you think cholos and Chicanos are gonna be more like hip hop or like Latin music.
Yeah.
But then when they, you know, especially like in the early '80s, if you've seen like Lords of Dogtown and stuff like that, you do have the cholo, but they're like hardcore.
Yeah, for sure.
A rock. Like, tell me about growing up in that.
I used to do a joke that I said I look like a cholo that shops at Tilly's.
When I got here, my friend told me that I look like a cholo that shops at Tilly's. I was mad about it, but that is exactly where I got these pants. So
I grew up in Frogtown in Northeast LA. Like, as I grew up, all the imagery, all the stuff, the lowriders, the, you know, single needle tattoos, the pen drawings, all that graffiti, I realized like it's a part of me too, and that there's no reason why I can't take ownership of the artwork, of the culture. It's how I grew up. I'm not a cholo, but it's in your blood. I mean, you see it all the time. It's everywhere. It is part of who I am. Yeah, I think at this point, like I'm 38 now. I've just sort of like sucked it all up, and I'm a representation of everything I've ever loved and everything I've ever, you know.
The sound that you have though is really hardcore, right? And it's like when I was a teenager, like I wanted to listen to like hard, heavy music, right? Yeah. As I've gotten older now, it's more melodies. Now, how do you guys maintain that like energy in your music?
Exercise. No, I mean, it's just what's in you. It comes out. Every time we play, we go, why did we write these songs so fast? I think our hearts are still, you know, teenage. Like, it's just the way it comes out. Me and Chappelle have a really varied taste in music. Like he loves Oasis, and we love pop music and rap and everything. But
And you like Matchbox 20.
I love Matchbox 20. Yeah, Yourself or Someone Like You is one of the greatest albums of all time. I'll fight anybody. So we do love melody. We did want to, every time we hang out, we're like, and no disrespect, the bands are great, but a lot of times these hardcore bands, punk bands, they just sound like another hardcore band, another punk band.
Right.
So I think because of our love of melody, our guitar players from Oklahoma, like just all these different elements come together to make something that's like just a little bit different. I'm not saying we're special or better, but we try our best to be. But yeah, the speed, it's just like, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was play as fast as I could. Byron from Pennywise was like my idol at that age. And so I just wanted to be fast.
Right.
So now we just recorded the last record. I go, we should have a 30-second song, because it's just
wow.
It's just what it is. It's that like that angst thing. It can take you there, if you let it.
How'd you get into comedy?
I think I just always, my whole life, I wanted to be a comic, but I didn't know how to do it. And I think my favorites were like Carlin, Chris Rock, all the greats. So like to me, they were superhuman. It was impossible. I started doing theater for a while in my 20s. This theater company called Cornerstone, they were in downtown. They were like community based. Through doing that, I met a guy backstage. His name's Anthony Aguilar, playwright, really, really talented guy. And he's like, I take a improv class at Casa 101 in East LA. And this guy, Luke Lizalde, he had taken UCB, Groundlings, all the improv here in LA, and used his notes to teach a free or donation-based class in East LA, in Boyle Heights. And so I went there. That made me realize that things I said like made the audience laugh. And I was like, oh, maybe this is possible. And I started writing for like 3 months, went to an open mic. I did a shot and a beer, went up, and it didn't go bad. It wasn't terrible. Now if I listen to it, I'd be like, it's awful. But I remember going to pee after my set and being like, I'm a comedian. And then I met some friends there. They're like, there's this mic tomorrow. Boom. And I was just there. And that's been my life for 13 years now. Just like,
nice.
Yeah, just off to the races.
And
man.
so a lot of people spotted you as a comedian as part of the Kill Tony. Now it was kind of fusing both your things, right? Because you were the drummer, because he has a band.
Make some noise for the former drummer of Kill Tony, the legend, Joel Jimenez.
What the is up, LA? Yeah.
Would you make jokes from the drum set?
Yeah.
How did that work?
So my buddy Pat was the warm-up act for Kill Tony. He kept telling me, you got to come to the store. I didn't have a license. And so I would drive with him, sign up. I got up a few times. And then they were in the belly room, which is like a really small room at the Comedy Store.
Right.
I didn't have a drum set that was small enough to fit up there. And one day I was at a thrift store. I found like a little toy kick drum. It was nice though, like wood. So I put new heads on it, fixed it up. I called Pat. I'm like, I got a drum set small enough to fit up there. He brought me, and I just like fell in love with it, dude. I was like, I'm never leaving this place. I've wanted to be a Comedy Store guy my entire comedy career. I'm a door guy there now. I'm very grateful. But yeah, I just remember thinking, I'm going to sink my claws into this place. Like, they're not going to get rid of me. Tony used to say, like, when you see me here, I want you to say hi. And I did it every time. I used to like feed jokes to Pat from behind. But by the time the show moved so quick, by the time he was able to say it or whatever, the moment had moved on, they would bomb. It wasn't his voice, whatever. So I think one day he got sick of it and he goes, you should say it. And so I grabbed the mic, bam, and that was it. I was kind of like, I had a pretty good run. And then episode 200, they gave me a mic. And then you start hearing they're on tour. People are asking where I'm at. Then they start taking me on tour. I got to go to like Australia, London, Manchester, Ireland, all over America. I'm really grateful for like what that did. You know, I think a lot of people find me that way.
Yeah, I mean, now Kill Tony's taken off. They had a
Huge.
Netflix show. Now he's based in Austin.
I did the Forum with them.
Wow.
That was cool.
I did see that.
They came back, they called me. He's like, do you want to make a cameo at the Forum? I'm like,
Nice.
of course. Got the Shaq jersey. I'm like,
Wow.
you know.
What was like that? Because you're the LA guy. All those
Yeah.
guys are from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you to get up in front of that size of a crowd in the Forum?
Yeah. Terrifying, but also it felt like a homecoming. I was like, this is where I'm at, dude. Like, I felt like, and I don't mean this in a pompous way, but I was like, nobody else should be doing this other than me right now. And it just felt like, it felt really good, man. I watched the Lakers play at the Forum when I was a kid, you know?
Yeah.
I did a drum off there. So like I did stand up and a drum off. So to do two bucket list things at the Forum for me was like really, really monumental, man.
You know what's interesting about you is that you have this dichotomy of like you look edgy, and your music is edgy, and your jokes are edgy, but your delivery is very nice,
Yeah.
very very calm. One of the things that I think captures your personality for people that want to be, that want to, go down the Joel Jimenez rabbit hole is those little promo videos you did with the jet ski,
Yeah,
the girl
yeah.
for the comedy show that you
Yeah,
have,
Jet Ski
where you
Johnson.
beat people up and you have people in the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then it's such an odd couple, you and this girl jet ski.
Yeah,
what's
she's
her
one of my
full
best
name?
friends, Jessie Jetski Johnson.
Yeah.
She's from Bad Friends. so,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I saw the promo where the guy brings you into the office and is like,
Yeah.
they're kind of violent. So tell me the ideas behind some of not just those specific videos. You can start there, but just in general, this edgy but nice vibe duality that you have going on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's all probably from skateboarding, from punk. All that stuff is like where I want to be. I want to be edgy. I want to make stuff that kind of makes people feel things. I'm a softie, dude. Like I'm sort of coming into my own, realizing that I'm kind of soft. I'm very nervous a lot. I'm trying, I'm figuring that out. I know how I look. My friend said that I look tough till you hear me talk. And I think that's like a lot of it,
That nails it.
Yeah, but I don't know, the violent stuff. I mean, it just came out of like necessity. I mean, I was shooting a promo because I was taking over a Belly Room show, and I'm like, what if everybody? I'm asking them in a disguise. I had a disguise on. I was asking them what they thought about my takeover. They were all like, it's terrible. So by the end, I'm like snapping. And I love breakaway glass, so I got a fake bottle. I smashed it on my friend Eric's head. He fell. It just started this thing of like, oh, now there's a precedent of like, we got to get violent every time. We thought it was funny when she giggled when she hit the taser because it's not her thing, to be violent. She's kind of like the cool one.
So you do a couple podcasts.
Yeah.
One with Chappelle.
Yeah.
Which one is that one?
That's Lesser Known Characters. It's a music podcast.
Yeah, you guys are mostly talking about music. That's where I saw you
Yeah.
defending Matchbox 20 and saying that you'll fight anybody who disagrees. And then another one that you do, Lords of Browntown.
Dogs of Browntown.
Dogs of Browntown.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. I love that you guys incorporate just as someone. I'm from Miami originally, but I've been living here for a long time, and I love LA history.
Yeah.
When I mean LA history, I mean like LA history, like the past 50 years. You know, like not. Well, actually, I like old history too, but Lords of Dogtown is a great movie for anybody,
for
whether you're
sure.
into skateboarding or not, to understand Southern California culture. So I love that reference. But you have a couple people, one of whom I've had on the show, Saul Trujillo.
Yeah.
Tell me about how that podcast came together and a little bit about the other people that are on the podcast.
Yeah, it was just us being at the Comedy Store. It's just, I met them. I met Saul. I worked with him. I worked with Hormoz. So it's me, Saul, and then Hormoz Rashidi, also a comic. And somebody came up with the name, either Hormoz or Saul, and we're like, we want to have a brown-centric podcast. So it started out like that. We had but now we just do current events, things like that. We used to have, you might have to cut this, but just as a silly thing, we used to have a timer for when white people will be the minority.
That's fun.
I think it's like in 2020 something, but satirical.
No, we don't gotta cut that out.
Yeah,
We're on LatiNation. We're done with that. Sal's a great guy, man. Does he feel like he's like on the precipice? And when you have a friend that goes from like unknown to like now somebody, and you're going through this as well,
Yeah.
is there like a balance between supporting them but also keeping them grounded so that they don't get like a too
No,
big of a-
I think we want the most for our friends, man. I want him to blow up. I'm lucky enough to be around people that don't need to be grounded. Like Saul doesn't need to be told to like knock it down. He's just always been that guy. I'm buddies with Chris Estrada too from this fool.
Absolutely.
I just opened for him in Irvine. And he's another guy who's just like always been that guy. I've known him 12 years or something.
He's at the store a lot now.
He's at the store a lot. He's a paid regular there, killing it. Just great writer. But yeah, him, Saul. I don't really mess with people who would need to be brought down. Those people aren't like in my circle, And I don't know. Watch Saul get like $1 billion and then flip out. But I think I talk about it with Snoop Dogg a lot. Like he doesn't need to be doing all these commercials. But I think there is this like poverty brain or like this need to like do things that kind of keeps people grounded. I've never sat and talked to Snoop, but like it just seems like even though he's super rich, he's still working and like always trying to achieve. And with comedy, it's interesting because once you tape a special, you're back at zero. You got nothing. So it's very humbling. None of the people I mess with need to be kept humble.
Right.
They're just like that. That's why I love them. When I was a kid, there wasn't a lot of representation. I mean, I remember watching I Love Lucy because of Ricky Ricardo. That was like my one thing. And then In Living Color was huge for my family. We watched a lot of like the black sitcoms because that was closer to like our way of life than Friends or something like that. I couldn't relate to that stuff. I think what's great now is, yeah, there's a lot of Latino comics, but a lot of Latino voices. Like, it's not just, you don't have to be a certain way. There's always that push and pull of like being a Latino comic who only plays for like Latino crowds. I want to be for everybody. I want them to come here like an interesting, different perspective, but also feel like they experience some of the things that I go through, because I think, and this is cheesy, but I think we all have a lot more in common with our everyday lives than we think or even know, or than, and so, yeah, Chris, Saul, those guys, there's so many. Yeah, we're just comics.
How do you get up on stage and crack jokes on a day you're having a day and you're not in a good mood and you're tired?
That's usually the escape from it, I think there's something about when you grab the mic, you get a bit of an adrenaline. I've heard of people that were sick or had food poisoning. The second they're up there, they're healthy for that amount of time, It's tough. Yeah, there's days. But lately I've been telling myself, because I still get nervous every time I go up.
Really?
If I'm not nervous, I bomb. I think it's good. I think you care. I think kind of makes you a little more aware of everything. I've been telling myself, this shouldn't be the nerves. This is the escape from the nerves you feel all day, every day,
Do you drink before you get up?
I don't drink. I quit drinking 2.5 years ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. I thought I had to quit stand-up when I quit drinking because I was like, I could feel everything. I would move and I'd be like, they saw me move, I can't move again. But then 6 months, I started to feel okay again. It was just holding me back, dude,
Interesting.
So, yeah.
By the way, I see that Pauly Shore's doing stuff with Jam in the Van. Is there a connection between Jam in the Van and the Comedy Store?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Pauly's he's my friend. He does a podcast there. And so I drum for Pauly on his podcast, and he shoots it at Jam in the Van.
What is he like?
He's great. He said to me once, my brand is fun. And it really is. I mean, during the pandemic, we were doing cover songs at his place, and we'd show up, he'd have pizza and wine,
but at his place, the big house in the hills, or
no,
when
he was living on the east side at this point.
Yeah, when he was doing an apartment podcast.
The fourplex.
Is he still there?
He's he doesn't live there anymore. No, he's got a couple spots.
But does he own the fourplex?
I'm not sure. He might.
I love how he was just Pauly Shore is in an apartment that looks like my apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, he's the real deal, man.
Tell me about Frogtown, because that's an interesting spot.
Yeah.
It's by the river,
yeah.
Right? Why do they call it Frogtown?
Well, because it's by the river, when it used to rain, there'd be frogs everywhere.
Right.
I remember being a kid and collecting them and putting them in boxes and
little baby frogs.
Yeah, and big ones too, all kinds, man. But I haven't seen one in about 10 years, 15 years. I don't know what happened.
You know that I did a kayaking thing down that.
I remember that. I remember they were kayaking. Yeah. I was making fun of those people.
That's funny because the area there, the ground isn't paved, so there's trees and there's that part.
So
of the LA River.
That section of the river from Outwater through Frogtown is the longest stretch of natural bottom river in the LA River.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's my home, dude. That's where I grew up. I love it with all my heart. I'm always trying to rep it. I'll tell everybody till I die. The neighborhood's changed a lot. Very gentrified. A lot of people walking around like they discover the place with their noses in the air. I don't like that, but it's safer. I mean, it sucks. My parents own their house, so that's good. But I did watch a lot of people that had to go, and I just wish that when people came into a new community that they had respect for what was there before. I remember years ago, LA Weekly did some article that said Frogtown, the best new neighborhood. And my mom was like, new? I've been here 50 years, 60 years, They built these apartments on the river and the advertising said, be a pioneer. And I was like, weird choice of wording. But, so, you go and for a while I was like, I'm never going to these coffee shops. But I was like, if I don't go, then who's it for? Then it's really for just outsiders. So I try to go, I'll make my presence known. I'm the first one to tell the cashier, I grew up here, I'm from here. But it's tough. You drive around, it's sometimes it's heartbreaking because it's It's just not what I remember, but that's okay. Everything changes, and I don't know how to fix it, but
it's a big thing. Boyle Heights and you know, Echo Park. You know, these are places with flavor and soul.
you know, another thing I've noticed is like they don't really interact with the people from the neighborhood. Like, so it's like they're still in a bubble. They only go to the businesses that people like them own. They only talk to those people. They drive in, they do that. You know, reach out, say hi every now and then. My parents are real good about that. We get new neighbors, they're over there saying hi. And the ones that interact, you know, they get culture out of it. My parents bring them food. They're a part of something bigger. Because Frogtown did feel like real community, you know. My dad's like the neighborhood mechanic. And when people say LA doesn't have culture or everybody's like on this, I never had that experience. My family's here. My friends were here. The neighborhood meant a lot to me. And, yeah, I don't know. I just say if you're living in a bubble, reach out, go to the liquor store, say hi to somebody, go buy tamales or something, you know.
Nice. Joe Jimenez, thank you so much. You've been on Checkitow.